Fishermen have tackle boxes. Painters have multiple brushes.
Why is this important?
Please do tell.
It's important because when an individual sets out to do a task, that they have the appropriate tools so that they can do it effectively and efficiently.
That makes sense.
The world we live in today seems to be lacking one tool, though.
What is that?
That tool is the tool to be able to give and receive effective feedback well.
Hello, I'm Linnetta.
And I'm Patrick.
And together we are co-founders of
Vertical Connections, Inc.
Thank you very much for joining us. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Everyone, please click the like button and share this message.
Also, we greatly appreciate when you leave comments, and we look forward to those in the future.
Humans have been dealing with feedback for centuries, and yet still today it needs to be clarified.
In a 2019 Gallup survey, only 26% of the employees that were being surveyed felt as if their employers were giving them feedback that was helpful and made them better at their jobs.
Wow. You know, that reminds me when we were in the school system and we had to do those surveys.
Right.
And they'd come back, and that would be a big thing every year, is to get those numbers up concerning the feedback on which was being given or taken.
Right.
Definitely. So what's really happening?
So what's really happening is much of the feedback being given is not brain friendly.
Oh. Seems to be two categories. One of two categories. One being...
Seems like the information that is being given, the individuals are either indirect or they're too soft. So what happens is the brain doesn't even realize that there's feedback being given, or because it's so soft, they get confused about what it is that they're being told.
I can definitely recall being in a situation like that, for sure.
Yeah.
The other category would be those who are too direct. And so the other person receiving that information seems to take it as a defensive type of situation.
Right. And there's a part of the brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala takes in the information and senses to see whether it's being attacked or not. Then, after it assesses this, the individual can either go forward and be defensive, or they back up and retreat.
Ah, interesting. Then the feedback coming from the giver, they start to dysregulate, if you will. And then the atmosphere becomes very awkward. You hear a lot of ums and uhs and...
Yeah, they just start to fill in with a bunch of justifications in what their feedback includes, and then, of course, it just goes to disarray quickly.
That's good, that's good. Let us look at 4 parts of delivering any message well.
The first one being that a really good feedback giver will ask a question that is short but important. It lets the brain know that the feedback is coming and the individual receiving it needs to prepare for it.
For example, do you have 5 minutes to talk about how the conversation went?
The other one might be, I have some ideas that would help us to make things a little bit better. Can I share them with you?
Okay. For the giver, this allows for this questioning to give pacing time.
It also lets the person know that feedback is about to be given. It also creates a moment of buy-in, which creates ownership for the individual that's getting the feedback.
It gives the other person a chance to say yes or no. And to this yes or no question, with it gives autonomy. Autonomy
is just simply when it gives the person the opportunity to act on their values and interests.
Good. The next part for the giver is going to include giving data points.
This is when the person giving data points gives the feedback and names it specifically as to what they saw or heard, and it removes any parts that aren't objective.
Being able to remove words that are considered words of confusion, which are words that are not specific or clear or understood, leads us to
just being confused. And you might use examples like, you shouldn't be so defensive.
Or, wait, here's one. You should be more proactive.
Truly, what do those two mean?
Very broad, yeah.
Very vague, very broad, and it's hard to understand. But great feedback givers will transform these words or phrases that cause confusion into actual data points, such as instead of saying,
"You are so reliable,"
they'll say, "You told me you were going to get me that report by 11 o'clock, and I still don't have it."
So my "you are so reliable" comes across as sarcastic.
Right, which is just more confusion being put into the equation.
Being specific is also important when it comes to positive feedback.
Yes.
This reason, we want to specify exactly what we want the other person to increase or back off of.
Right. So if we stick with these words or phrases that cause confusion, the person will have no clue as to what is they're doing to go forward that should either be enhanced or diminished.
Okay, all right. After asking a short question that promotes pacing, buy-in, also providing data points.
Then it comes to the third one, which talks about the impact statement.
This is where you state how the disappointment affected you.
You come across and you can say, "Because I haven't received that report yet, I am unable to do my work," and then go forward with the other things on my list.
Or, "I really liked how you tied the stories because it helped me to understand faster."
This approach gives a sense of purpose and meaning and logic between the points, which is something the brain really craves.
Another point to consider: end on a question.
Yes, great feedback givers wrap up their message with a question. They will ask a person a question like, "How do you see it?" Or,
"This is what I am thinking we should do, but what are your thoughts on this?"
what this approach does is to create a commitment rather than just compliance.
It transitions the conversation from a monologue into a joint problem-solving situation.
And finally, great feedback givers not only can say messages well, but they also ask for feedback regularly. They'll go out and they will instigate individuals in the sense of giving them feedback, which makes them look like or become a more continual learner versus just being the individual that gives the feedback.
Definitely remember working around folks like that, which is excellent. You're sharpening each other.
Yes, iron sharpening iron, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The most challenging situations are the ones that call for the most skillful feedback, but it doesn't have to be difficult.
With these 4 parts that we have looked at, you can understand now how you can have more tools in your box, mixing and matching and making it work and diminishing all the challenges.
Right. Getting feedback to a point of a 2-way dialogue that strengthens relationships rather than a 1-way monologue that comes across as instruction and criticism benefits both parties.
Excellent.
So we hope that this information about the art of giving meaningful feedback benefits you either as a giver or the receiver. So until next time,
Get connected
to go vertical.